Good. Now we are learning about Parshas VaYera, and we see that after Abraham circumcises himself, so God comes to visit him, and also three angels come to visit him. So it's a pretty monumental summit over here. We have Avram and the angels that are coming to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and the angels that are coming to announce to Abraham, the angel comes to announce to Abraham. Well, let's have a look and see. Here we go. Vayera Elav Hashem. God appeared to Abraham by Elane Mamre. V'hu yoshev petach ha'oel, and he's sitting in the entrance of his tent, kachom hayom, in the heat of the day. So Rashi informs us of a very interesting and sort of shocking thing, actually, over here, that this is speaking about right after Abraham circumcised himself. I have personally been present at circumcisions of older people. Used to have up here in my my house, at the top floor of my house, we had for a while a group which is called Brit Yosef Yitzchak, and they used to make circumcisions for older people, mostly Russians. They would do it for free. And I saw circumcisions done for older people. And it's a pretty massive thing. They gave an injection. So here's Abraham, and he's sitting in the entrance of his door in the heat of the day. And God appears to him. What's Abraham doing? Abraham is sitting in the day. God, first of all, God comes to meet him, to visit the sick person, Omer Rabbi Chama Bar Chanina, Yom Shlishi Lamila. This is the third day after Abraham was circumcised. And God personally himself is coming and asking him how he is. I mean, if you remember, God was the one who told him that he should circumcise himself. So now God, the creator of the universe, is now coming and visiting Abraham. So it's sort of like a Holy of Holies over here. It's sort of like being in the Holy of Holies in the temple, because there was a revelation of God there. Now, what's Abraham doing? He's sitting in the opening of the tent. Abraham had just done a tremendous commandment, and he passed a tremendous test. He circumcised himself at 99 years old. So first of all, the Torah tells us a totally, apparently insignificant thing, that it was in a place called Elone Mamre. Elone Mamre, like the gardens of Mamre. Mamre was the fellow who gave Abraham the advice of the Milah. Therefore, it was revealed to him over there. He gave him the advice. Now, you have to remember, Abraham was the first person ever to be circumcised. So it was not so easy for him to figure out exactly how to do it. And God told Abraham, and he gave him, the advice of how to do it. Let me just have a look here. Just 1 second. Excuse me. Right. Excuse me, just one moment. So I just want to remember here. No. Yes. Okay. What was the advice? I'm just looking there's a commentary called Shai Lamora. It said Avram Avinu certainly they had no Yetzer Hara. Therefore, he asked them in order that they should. So usually the bris milah is supposed to be to remove the Yetzer Hara, and Abraham didn't have any Yetzer Hara. So they said the Yetzer Hara, in your case, is convincing you not to do the bris milah. It's convincing you that you don't have any Yetzer Hara. That is your Yetzer Hara. In fact, you don't have one, but your Yetzer Hara is convincing you that because you don't have one, therefore you shouldn't do it. You don't have to do what God says to remove it. If God somehow or other here is sort of overdoing it. So he said, therefore, another place it says that the advice that he gave him was that you should circumcise, first of all, Yishmael first, and then circumcise yourself. Okay. Some people say that what Mamre told him was how to heal the wound from the bris milah. That was the advice that he gave him. Because Abraham knew how to do everything. Also, Abraham, there's some say that because here's a mitzvah, that the reason that Abraham waited with this mitzvah was because he was endangering himself. Excuse me, that he was endangering himself. And you can't endanger yourself on your own. So when God commanded him, he could do it. So he was asking him how I can do this commandment if it's going to endanger me. Then also there were friends of his that came and they say, therefore, if you do this commandment, everyone's going to say that the God who you've been trying to convince us to worship, he wants us to damage ourselves, and everybody's going to leave me. So he went to this person called Mamre, and Mamre said, listen, if God told you what to do, then you should do it, and don't worry about the outcome. Harry, God saved you from the fiery furnace. And don't worry, no one will be pushed away by the fact that you're hurting yourself and that you're trying to convince them to do the same. That won't turn people back. Exactly the opposite. In the end, everyone will see that you're willing to risk everything in order to do what God says, even all the success that you've had now. That was the advice that they gave him. Okay. And there he is waiting, Kachom Ayom. He said, Yoshev. Abraham was sitting. What does it mean? Yoshev. Bikesh Lamod. Abraham wanted to stand up because it was in front of God. God said, listen, sit, and I'll stand. And you will be a simon for all your children, that from now on, when there is a judge, you have to stand up in front of him. Like it says, Elokim Nitzav Ba'adas. This is a simon to your son, that in future, I will be the one that stands to testify, and they will be sitting. Like it says, Elokim Nitzav Ba'adas. I will stand up and testify for your children, your offspring in the future. He was sitting in the Pesach oil. Why was he sitting there in the heat of the day? To see if there's anybody going by so that he could do the mitzvah of bringing in guests. What was he bringing guests for? We'll learn later on that Abraham wanted to spread the idea that there's a God in the world. And in order to do this, that's what he was involved in all the time. So here, Abraham is suffering. He's got a really good excuse to at least take it easy for a couple of days. And so Abraham said, true, I have excuses, but I don't want excuses. I have a really good excuse not to do things, but in the end, what will I have? I won't do anything. I'll have the excuse. So I'd rather just forget about the excuse and just do things. I want to, this is a sign also for us that even if we have good excuses and we're tired and we don't want to go out and do mitzvahim, or you want to learn Torah, you don't want to learn. You have a chavrusa, he said something not nice yesterday, you don't like him. Doesn't make any difference. Forget about all of your considerations and all of your excuses. Abraham had better excuses than you, and nevertheless he went and he did what he was supposed to do. God took out the sun from its sheath. So not to bother him with guests, all of a sudden it became 150 degrees hot outside. No one's going to walk around in weather like that. So Abraham, what did Abraham do? He felt terrible. And as soon as God saw that Abraham figured, no, Abraham has a double excuse. Number one, a triple excuse. Number one, he's suffering from the bris milah. Number two, as it's hot outside, it's going to be suffering more. Number three, he says that no one's going to be coming because it's hot. There, other people are also going to go outside. So why waste your time? So he says, no, that when God, as soon as God saw that how pained Abraham was that he didn't have any guests, so therefore he brought angels with him in the form of man so that they would be his guests. And we'll see that here we learn that it's okay to leave God's presence. And there's an interesting parush over here from the, where is it? That's not here. We'll see it a little later. Very strange commentary here. Okay. Abram lifted up his eyes. He saw these three people, and he saw them again. He saw them, and then he saw them. What he thought? He already saw them once. Was he seeing them again? Rashi will talk about that. Avram lifted up his eyes, and he saw them. And behold, three men standing over him, and he saw them. And he ran to meet them from his door, and he bowed down to them. Let's see what Rashi says. Rashi says three people. One person was there with three. They end up there with three angels. Other people disagree. They say there were three. We'll see. There were three angels. One of them was to tell Sora that she's going to have a son. One of them is to destroy Sodom. And one of them came to heal Abraham. Why couldn't God just send one all-purpose angel? One angel can't do two things. You should know that, because the whole entire parsha of God is speaking. It is spoken in a plural, vayochlu, that they ate and they said, and right, they gave him the advice. And they said, when it comes to giving the news, it says vayomer, and he said. So one angel was there to tell Sora she was going to have a baby. One was there to heal Abraham. One was there to turn Sodom and Amorah. That's going to be the next thing. They're going to destroy Sodom and Amorah. We saw that last week. Sodom and Amorah, those were the five kings that were conquered by the four kings, and that Abraham went and he defeated the four kings, took a lot back, remember? So we see that when they were eating, it says plural. When they do their job, it's one angel destroyed. It says, Vayomer Shov. He says to Sarah, I will return next year. Right? And it says, V'nefachas Sodom, it says, Ki lo uchal. He said, I am not able to do anything. And what about healing? It says, Avram, it says, Raphael, what about Raphael, the angel Raphael? He was the one that healed Abraham. He went to there to save Lot. Remember Lot and his with Lot and his daughters, they were living in Sodom. And God destroys Sodom, but he saves Lot and his two daughters. Crazy story, Lot and his two daughters. We'll learn about that tomorrow. But we'll just suffice it to say, Lot and his two daughters, that was the source of the Mashiach. Huh? Lot and his two daughters, there was Peretz and Zerach. And from Peretz, with Lot, he thought the whole world was destroyed. So his daughters got him drunk and he had relations with them. And they became pregnant from their father. And one of the babies was called Peretz. And from Peretz eventually comes King David, the Mashiach. As a Raphael that came to save Abraham, after that he went to save Lot. Like it says, so he did one thing at a time. First of all, he went and he saved Abram, and then he went and he saved Lot. So he did, and he was a saving angel. That was his job. He could save. So it wasn't really two different things he wasn't doing. So it says, what does it mean that he saw, Avram saw and that he saw twice? The first one is like it said. The second one is that he understood. So do you see? You see? I explained something. Do you see? Second one was that he understood. He saw. They were standing in one place and he understood that they didn't want to bother him. They were hesitant. Even though that he knew that they were coming, that he went to meet them, they stood in their place in order to give him honor. They didn't want to bother him. They figured, okay, we'll turn back and maybe we'd think that they didn't want to come. But he ran to them. It says, Nitzavim alav, and this is a Ratz, he was running to see them. It says, from here we learn that you can leave the Shekhinah in order to take in guests. Very important thing to take in guests. It's very important also that you take in normal guests. Don't take in crazy guests. If you do, then you yourself might have to be a guest after your wife kicks you out of the house. There's a book called Pele Yoetz, and there he gives that advice. Taking guests is a wonderful thing, but you have to make sure that you can handle the guests, and you have to do it with the agreement of your wife. Here's an interesting thing, Bechor Shor. It says the three people came, and they were really angels. Rashi says they were really angels, but it says over here that he wanted to meet them, and then he gave them to eat. Watch this, look at this. The angels, he gave them to eat. Now Rashi explains, he said, please, if you want to, don't leave me. Avram said, take a little bit of water and wash your feet. And under this is why wash your feet? Because they worshiped the dirt on their feet. The dirt on their feet became like idols. So Abraham said, take it off your feet. And little did he know that these were really, he thought that they were people. So he says that he put in front of them, take some bread, I'll give you some bread, and please do, and give you water, and you can drink, you can eat. And it says, and he put it in front of them. He told his wife to bake cookies for them, and he said it was Pesach, and he put it in front of them, and they ate. But that's it. I'm just trying to skip to here. There it goes. And they ate. So these three angels, they ate. Says Rashi, they didn't really eat. Nero Kamoshav, they made it look like they were eating. From here we see that a person should act like the place where you are. When they came to Avram, so they faked it. They were eating. They didn't really eat. They faked that they were eating. Some people say that from here we can learn that Moshe, this is how we know that Moshe was higher than the angels. Because the angels, when they came down here, they lied. They made like they were eating, but they didn't eat. And Moshe, when he went up on Mount Sinai, that he really, truly did not eat. 40 days and 40, didn't eat, didn't drink. So as I said, okay, so here we have these angels that they were eating. Now let's look back at this Bechor Shor. See if we can get back to this again. Here. So what does he say? It says that there are the angels over there. The simple meaning, says the Bechor Shor, is he knows that it says that they were angels, etc. But the simple meaning is that he looked and he saw three people. Anashim Mamish. It doesn't say that they were angels. Look, being a Shlosha Anashim, there were three people standing over him. Right? They were standing over, they were tall people, whatever they were said. It doesn't say that they were angels. The Midrash says they were. So it says, according to the simple meaning, these were three human beings. We don't find that angels eat and drink, and that they sleep in a house with a person. Like, for instance, in the house of Lot. They didn't want to go in, it says. Also, it says by Manoach, the father of Samson, there was an angel came, and he said, "Doesn't make any difference. You can pressure me as much as you want. I can't eat any bread." So, but Ein Lashiv al Divrei Rabotenu said, but I'm not going to contradict what the rabbis said. That also they were angels. Ladat Asher Bo'or said they were angels, and they came to find out what's going on here. But it's forbidden to tell the goyim that they were angels. Why? Because this is a proof on their tarfutam she'achal. Because this, what do the goyim do? The goyim have their idols, and they say that they bring sacrifices to their idols, and they say that they ate. They eat. In other words, even angels, whatever, can eat. That's what they say. So they bring the sacrifices to them. And if we want to say that the angels actually ate, I mean, Rashi gets around it by saying that they pretended to eat. But in any case, listen to this. This is a reproof of the Notzrim, the Christians, that they say that their God is triple, right? The Catholics, they say that the Father, the Holy Ghost, there are three. The God divided himself into three. So God, they say, what do they say? The Notzrim, that God divided himself into three, and one of those three is Yashkila. He's one of the three. So if you want to say that he's one of the three, so what do they say? That God came down and he had relations with a lady. It's like Greek mythology. What's their whole religion based on? It's really quite insane. Their whole religion is based on that God came down, he had relations with a lady, and that she gave birth to Yashkala. And therefore he is the God incarnate. So you can say to them, what do you have to, he doesn't have to, God doesn't have to come down. You want God incarnate, he didn't have to come down and have relations with the lady. Why is it that 1/3 of their gods, they have the Father and they got the Holy Ghost, right? And then they have what they call the Son. The Son that came out of a lady. Why did this 1/3 have to come from a lady? Who are Notzrim, namely Yashkelin, in order to get flesh. Here, look at it says that here's 3 angels. They came down, and they were all 3 of them were flesh. They ate and they drank, and they didn't have to be born from a lady. That he says this is a footnote that the Bechor Shor wrote. You have to realize these people had a lot of problems with the Notzrim from the church, and we still have a lot of problems now, but not like it used to be. But so here's the answer: you want to have God incarnate? Here you have 3 gods incarnate. They came to visit Abraham. They sat, they ate, and they drank. Right? They ate and they drank. He doesn't have to. He has to go to a lady and have to make her pregnant. What do they have to have that for? Okay. In any case, Abraham spoke to these 3 angels, and the angels told him, and we ran out of time. The angels told him that next year you're going to have a child. They went to Sarah and they told her the same thing, and she laughed. And we'll talk about this, God willing, tomorrow. Now let's go to learn the Shulchan Aruch of the Alter Rebbe. We're starting something new today. Today we're starting the laws of healing. Healing is 328. Wrong one, sorry. Press the wrong button. Excuse me just one moment. Let's see, let's stop this.